Today, I want to share with you about what's going on in the real estate marketplace and what that means to you. Before I start, happy spring. My name is Dan Rochon. So let's talk about what's going on in the marketplace. So here in the mid-Atlantic region, we're going to start like global, and then we'll come into, something that's more relevant to you. What you can see here is the market activity is actually springing, right? So you can see many years, January, there's very, very little activity. February, there's more. March, there's more. If I had the April stats, you'd see even more. I can tell you personally, the sellers that I've been working with, they've gotten multiple offers over the past week. So that's good news. The buyers that I've been working with, they've been able to find the home that they're searching for. That's good news as well. So I'm going to talk to you both about what the market means to you as a seller as well as a buyer. So let's talk about Northern Virginia. So when you take a look at Northern Virginia, the interesting thing is there is a lot of less activity than there was a year ago. In fact, there's 40% less homes placed on the market. You can see over there underneath the inventory than there were 1 year ago. And what that means is that the average days on the market have increased, by double. But that being said, it's still an average of 22 days on the market. Let me tell you, historically and throughout the different marketplaces, that's a pretty amount of time to be able to sell your property. So that's the 22 days that would take on average, depending on where you are, depending on your type of home, that type of thing. 22 days on average to find a buyer, and then there's around another 30 days after that for the buyer to be able to do their due diligence, for them to be able to get their home inspection, get their financing together, get the property appraised, etc. So it's good news for the sellers right now because you have 40% less competition. And going back to this, you can see that the buyers are starting to buy. Okay, so it's like really good news right now if you're a seller. Looking at the other areas in the marketplace, Montgomery County, same deal. Almost the exact same numbers when you're looking at about a 40% less activity and almost the same amount of numbers for the average days on the market, 27 days on the market. And Prince George's County is a little bit slower, but again, around 32% less homes on the market than a year ago and around 36 days on the market. So what does that mean to you? Well, here's the thing. It really depends on the type of home that you have, and it really depends on the location. So for example, single family homes below $513,000 here in the area, it's slow. And it's slow for some of the other properties as well. But you look at the higher priced, the 1.2 million, it's steady. So as you can see, you can look at, we're going anywhere from a slow market to a steady market to a high demand. Okay, so if you've got a condominium less than 560, people want it. All right. And so again, it depends on your location in regards to how sellable and how quickly we could sell your property for. Let's talk about buyers. So when you're looking at the interest rates and the forecast of the interest rates over the next 90 days, you can see that we hit a high in November last year of over 7%. And right now we're hovering closer to 6% with a relatively stable interest rate. Now, when you look at this chart, what are you noticing? You're probably like, oh my goodness, look, from yesterday till today, it's doubled. Like, that's crazy. It's too high. Well, let's take this into consideration. Let's look at the history of the mortgage rates. If you look at the history of the mortgage rates since 1971, over the last 40 years plus, look at that. The average interest rate's at 7.75%. We're almost 2% better than that right now. So if you consider where we are today based off the history, then you'll recognize that we're actually in a really, really good place of an interest rate. It's sort of like when you wake up the day after a cold and you're like, hey, I feel great. It's sort of that same perspective of yesterday, interest rates were great. Today, they're not. And today, you may feel like crap because it's like, well, yesterday they were great. But if you go through time, you'll recognize that they're relatively stable, or they're gonna stabilize rather, and you'll recognize that they're better than average. So if you're in the market to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate, Clearly, as you can see, I can give you some generalization about what's going on in the marketplace, yet your situation is unique. Your situation is unique in regards to where your location is. If you're a buyer, in regards to your credit and your debt to income and that type of thing. I'd love to be able to have a conversation to explain this a little bit more in detail with you if you're considering to buy or you're considering to sell anywhere in the near future. My name is Dan Roshan. You can hit me up at greetingsdmv.com, Dan at greetingsvirginia.com, and 703-346-2776. Send me a text. I'm available for you day, night, weekends. There's not a nook or a cranny in the area that I don't know. I've been selling real estate since 2007. I would be honored to be able to help you. Take care.